I saw the Hitman's Bodyguard, and I give it a B minus 6 out of 10, and I'm going to explain my rating now. So, the movie starts, and it's pretty terrible in the beginning. Just, the action is just all cut every fraction of a second, like, just can't tell what's going on, and just like you have no idea, like, what the characters' motivations are, or at least like it's not well explained. But then the movie gets better as it goes along. Like, once, like, the first 30 minutes of this movie are like 3 or 4 out of 10 material. But then once Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds get together and start driving, that's where the movie picks up, because the first 30 minutes, like, the action wasn't great and it wasn't funny either. Like, the movie got no laughs out of me for the first third. But once Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds were together, like, the laughs slowly started coming, and just like, and you learn more about Samuel L. Jackson's character, and eventually you learn more about Ryan Reynolds' character, and the flashback about how Samuel L. Jackson's character met his wife was pretty funny. And then once the whole, like, climax of this movie, well, the whole last third of this movie is in Amsterdam, and, like, everything there is great. Like, there's multiple car chases, which are all great. The hand-to-hand action scenes are filmed better. You can actually tell what's going on. And Gary Oldman was Gary Oldman. Nothing super exciting about him. And at the end of the movie, when he's, like, on trial, he takes out a gun, and I'm like, wait, where did he get that gun from? They show earlier that you have to go through security to get into the building. And, like, where did he get that gun from? And of course, there's a lot of ridiculous stuff that happens in this movie, if any of it. But, like, this isn't a realistic movie. If any of it actually happened, like, that would be just unbelievable. But, you know, it was entertaining, it was fun. Don't let the first half an hour, 40 minutes discourage you. It does pick up from there if you're sitting there like, this movie sucks. Just let it keep going, it gets better. And there's not really much to say about it other than Samuel L. Jackson is funny, and I guess it's just the way they're written. His character and Ryan Reynolds' character bounce off each other really well, and they're a decent comedic duo, and there's not much else to say about this movie other than if you need a decent action comedy, it's a pretty good one, I guess. And I don't think The Lion King is in theaters anymore, but since I saw it in theaters, I'm going to talk about it, even though it's probably not in theaters anymore, but I think it's inevitably going to be re-released again at some point in the next few years, so I might as well talk about it. And since I did that Lion King 2 video where I spent 17 hours dissecting why The Lion King 2 is bad, I might as well talk about its predecessor. So yeah, the first week of August, The Lion King was randomly re-released in theaters. I have no idea why. It just was. But you know what? I went to see it because I think it's important to see a movie you love on the big screen at least once, even if it's a movie you've already seen. Like, I saw Titanic back in 2011 when it was re-released. I technically did see it in its original theatrical run, but I was like a baby back then, so I obviously don't remember anything from seeing it then, but I've seen it on DVD several times. Uh, and seeing it in the theater is a different experience because, like, you notice things you wouldn't have noticed on a small screen. Like, in Titanic, the big thing is during the ship sinking, there's all these sounds of, uh, like, cracking and like metal bending and stuff, and I never noticed that like at home on my own TV and DVD player. Like, it's only something I never noticed until I saw it in a theater. Just little things like that. And one thing I noticed during The Lion King is the scleras of certain characters' eyes keep changing from yellow to white. Because if you ever notice, especially with Simba, like the white of his eyes, sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's white, and it's just random. And I don't really know if there's a correlation there. Um, and like, another little thing I noticed is when Scar, during the climax of the movie, when he gets knocked down and he is about to be devoured by the hyenas, like, there's fire around him, and I noticed this flickering on him, uh, which I never noticed before because I'd only ever seen it on a TV at home. And, like, just stuff like that is important, I think. Well, at least it's cool to pick that out. As far as my opinion on the movie in general, um, mostly because of my nostalgia for it, because I've owned it on VHS basically my entire life, and because it is a fantastic movie. It's definitely a strong A 9 out of 10, but uh, I subjectively push it to an A plus and a 10 because, just besides Fantasia, it's probably the best 2D animated movie Disney ever made. Like, the voice casting is basically perfect. The animation is incredible, especially by 1994 standards. The the music is awesome, not just the Elton John, Tim Rice songs, but also the score by Hans Zimmer is like really epic, and like especially like that scene about 2/3 into the movie where Mufasa forms in the clouds and talks to Simba. Like, that scene is like epic on a big screen. Like, this movie is just a massive movie, and it's a movie that should be seen on a big screen. If you haven't seen The Lion King, first of all, what are you doing? Stop watching this video and go watch that movie. And if possible, see it on the biggest, highest definition screen you possibly can with the best sound system you possibly can, because it deserves it. And just very briefly, because I covered it in that 17-minute long YMS style analysis, The Lion King 1.5 is like, it's a gimmick movie. Like, oh, what if we saw The Lion King, but it was from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective, and they were there the whole time. But it's really funny. Like, there's some stuff that could have been cut, like that whole snail eating scene, which was just unnecessary. But the movie's really funny. Like, it's a little childish sometimes. There's like a lot of toilet humor, a lot more than I remember anyway, but it's funny. It made me laugh a lot. So I liked it. And Lion King 2, like, my motivation for making that video was because I watched it, like, the same day as watching The Lion King and The Lion King 1.5. And I'm like, what? This is not good. Because I had only seen that movie, like, once before, and it was years and years ago. I wasn't a little kid. I was, like, either a preteen or a teenager. It was a long time ago. But I remember it was like okay. Like, it obviously wasn't as good, but like it was fine. But then I rewatched it and I noticed all the glaring plot holes, uh, like while the animation is impressive, like the fire is animated like crap and is obviously 3D CGI. And why would you want to trap Simba's daughter there, have Kovu save her, like go to the Pride Rock and kill Simba there? Why not just lure Simba out there and kill him with the fire and just make things a whole lot simpler for yourself? And like they keep spying on Kovu from over a hill, which is stupid because if you can see them, they can see you. And that would make Kovu's presence at Pride Rock that much more suspicious. And like the songs don't contribute anything to the plot. Like in the original Lion King, I cover all this in my video. Like every single song moves the plot forward in one way or another. In The Lion King 2, like We Are One, it's basically the speech Mufasa gave Simba in the first movie, but stretched out into a song. It's there's My Lullaby, which is probably the worst song out of all of them, and it's just like it's like the Be Prepared of Lion King 2, but nowhere near as listenable. Upendi is probably the only song that moves the plot forward, and it's probably the best song out of all the new songs. Then there's Not One of Us, which is literally pointless and is just there to get the runtime over 80 minutes. And the plot is derivative. Notice in the original video, I put a picture of a derivative like dydx, ha 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 ha, derivative, get it? But, yeah, like, it's like the same general story as the first movie, but nowhere near as good. And just with different characters that aren't anywhere near as memorable, and Timon and Pumbaa are nowhere near as funny, and that movie is just a mess. I even took my handwritten notes about that, and you know what? I actually have it here. I wrote 6.5 pages of stuff about The Lion King 2, and I took some of that and actually threw it into an IMDb review, so now people on IMDb get to see a shortened version of my review in written form, because I wanted to. And because I already went through the effort of writing it out. That's why. So yeah, basically, The Lion King is amazing. Lion King 1.5, if you've seen The Lion King, it's a fun movie to watch. The Lion King 2, if you have small children, it might entertain them, but for a thinking audience over a certain age, you're just going to be like, what is this?